Get down on it. I try. Jason, Alex usually can come. Personally, done, but. And a few more people to call said they'd be here. Maybe they either don't know where they're going or working issues. So. That's funny. Every day with you.
Oh, I got a.
Good.
Okay, whenever you are.
Okay, all right, welcome everyone. This meeting is being held in reference to the Trumbull County Dog Pound. And it's an informational meeting and we're looking to set up a committee to oversee operations and to allow the commissioners a little bit more knowledge as to, what we should be looking at here for the future of the dog pound. Madam Clerk, could you call roll, please?
Mr. Malloy,
Here.
Mr. Bernard,
Here.
Mr. Hernandez.
Here. Okay, so,
Mr. Chairman, if we could too, just advise this is a regular meeting for us. So when you speak, we are being streamed live and it'll be on YouTube afterward. State your name and who you represent whenever it's a chance to get to you. And I guess, Mr. Chairman, if we could maybe do introductions around the.
that's actually what I was gonna do. So let's all introduce ourselves at the table here before we start this meeting.
Fair volunteer.
Jason Coach, President, Health Yards, Pause Project.
Michelle Goss, Trumbull County Dog Warden.
Denny Malloy, Trumbull County Commissioner. Charles Bass, so you're representing dog.
Rick Hernandez, Commissioner.
Bill Danso, County Prosecutor's Office.
Tony Bernard, Trumbull County Commissioner.
Lisa Demenzia Blair.
Okay, thank you,
Let's go
everyone.
around the room, right, because there's some other people that we
Yeah.
are equally as important as the ones that they.
John Metz, board member of the Voices of the Trumbull County Pound Dogs.
Haley Seeger, president of Voices of the Dog.
Type 80 KO Consulting.
Cheetah Magazine, KO Consulting.
Okay, thank you. First, what I'd like to do, Jason, you were here during the public meeting last week. Can you please just summarize and give us an overview of what you presented to the commissioners?
Yeah, I attended last week's meeting to bring attention to the fact that obviously there's a major crisis with dogs in Trumbull County. Everyone was struggling for space and the pound moving forward. It's not a place so that at least get progress started. I know there's a lot of people in the community that are for this, but they love their dogs. So I'm just hoping that today we can get something going. Have some hope that down the line there's going to be a new pound because they deserve it, the pound place deserve it, and the public deserve it. I think it would be a great investment, once in a generation thing. So I'm happy that we're on this.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Michelle, I'd like to move to you, Michelle. You would give us a little bit of your opinions and your overview and things that you've in the past that that you had noticed and where we're going with the pound. You have the floor.
Okay, so I agree obviously with everything that Jason has to say. I think we're kind of behind times here. We definitely need to move forward with this new facility. I think that's why we are all here. We need to, I think, define a purpose, assign some roles, some structure, some boundaries, and come up with a plan and a goal to get this ball rolling and move forward. Again, we definitely need the space. There is a crisis in Trumbull County. We have 3 large, well, or small, we have 2 larger facilities that just cannot keep up with the intake of dogs. We, with this new facility, would be a great help to the community, the public. We could offer a lot. We do a lot more for the public than just taking strays. I think it's just the start of what we can do for the community.
Okay, Michelle, thank you. And I have a comment to make real quick, Commissioner, beforehand. Michelle, as you know, you and I have been together on numerous occasions
Yes.
concerning it. Just to let those here know, if you don't know already, we have been to AWL. We originally
Yeah.
thought that maybe we had a position at AWL. We had two different meetings there. I had one personal meeting on my own there.
Yes,
That failed due to an MOU, evidently. There is no opportunity there. Now, we have land that has been donated.
sure.
Prior commissioners, former commissioners, had, delegated over $250,000 towards the architecture of this structure. And, just to let you know, the commissioners are all on board with a new dog pound. So the funding of it is a little bit of a different sort, where we get the
Yeah.
funding, and you've
Yeah.
known that.
Yes,
What we'd like to do, and I believe, and we had discussed this a little bit, the term task force is a little, we use that loosely. I would like to see this become more of a committee oriented, not a
Agreed.
task force that's, locking our arms,
sure.
The commissioners, Commissioner Malloy, Commissioner Bernard, and myself want to see this come to fruition. Absolutely. We know the disparities that, that have transpired. So
Yes.
we're in it with you, just so you know that we are on the same page as you are.
Good.
This committee and what we're looking to do here, I don't know where this goes today, commissioners. It's mainly informational, but we will move forward with getting this committee set up. I'm not sure about commissioners, the number of people that we will have, Commissioner, on this board, but I think that maybe we'll have to discuss that.
Let's go back a little bit first before we get before that. This kind of all started about 2 years ago. And I went and looked at the dog pound when I first came in. And at that time, a gentleman had passed away and left us $200,000. And that kind of sparked the interest of, hey, we got the community donating money. Michelle had been asking for years and years and years about the facility, the volunteers. Amanda's been here probably more than anybody else, speaking more than the damn people even back in the day, talking about need for a dog pound and need for better services. And Commissioner Candle Mesa was kind of handling that with Bill Hart, our operations gentleman at the time. I went with Bill Hart. We looked at 6 or 7 different locations over about a 6-month period. We thought we had a place in Warren, didn't work out. Then we had another place, didn't work out. So we looked at multiple facilities. Animal Welfare League then came and approached and said, hey, we got the property here. We're willing to donate you the property if you build it on our property here. And it was centrally located. It was something that we knew we didn't want to be in the extreme way up north or way down south because of the travel. We needed something somewhat centrally located corridor wise, or at least access to main roads. So people coming to look at dogs, look for their dogs they're missing, whatever, didn't have to travel all the way across the county. So that we found that location, said, hey, it's free. Where the other ones, we did have some other ones offered to us for free that just didn't meet the standards of what we were looking for. So once that was settled in by the last board that that's the location that we like, this will work. They have a dog park there already. People know where Animal Welfare League is, where there's joint services we can share with them. That's when it was decided to go forth with some artist rendering of what we needed. And working with Michelle, Bill Hart, Mike Slowinski, and the architects, they kind of put together their wish list of here's what we need for a dog pound. Here's the types of spaces we need as far as an intake area, a place where people can visit with the dogs in a quieter environment to get to know the dogs personally, rather than when dogs are all barking when they see someone come in. And it has the area for play, area for veterinary services, area for kennels. We also had to work with Vita Township to make sure that we met with all their zoning ordinances. We met with some of their trustees on multiple occasions as far as making sure the kennels were positioned away from the housing development that was on the next road, and then everything fit that way, you know, sewer, water, our sanitary engineer got involved. And that's where we honed in on, this is the place, this is the most cost effective, this is the most opportunistic place for us to utilize for all the parties involved. So went ahead with the artist rendition, which we have here. When it got to that point, then it's like, okay, we know there's a need, we know what the wants are. This place will satisfy the needs that everybody has. Now, how do we pay for it? And that's where we come to, you know, budget wise, how do we pay for it? You look at other counties, we started doing some research. Many of them finance, many of them do bonds. There's very few counties that have $3 to $5 million just sitting there. Look, it would burn a hole in their pocket. So that's where we said with something like this also, what the other counties have done is the community is very generous. When I came in on the Welfare League, they had a lot of donors that came forth and donated money. When we had the bird sanctuary for wild birds over in Holland, donors come forth and donate money for that. Jason's had some people like with this in the nonprofit sector. There are angel donors out there that care about dogs. They're willing to partner up with government entity or nonprofit to make this happen. So with something like this, community things like this fairground buildings, things like that's common for the community to get involved, to have a public-private partnership when you do these things, or at least with the donor money. We got 200,000 from the state. We've had other donations come into the Friends of the Dog Pound. They're the holder or the holding entity for the funds that come in, because we can't actually take the donations legally, I guess. So what we need to establish, I think, through this advisory thing is we know kind of what the wants and needs are, but it's time to move on it now that we got a new board, new commissioners. We got to pick up where Bill Hart and Mario left off and continue with the plan that we have without reinventing the wheel. And by bringing some of the players involved, we have at the table here, people that volunteer there, that deal with dogs every day. I think we can flush out who could be an asset to the team here to advise us on something of the technicalities of it. So Michelle's not doing it all on her own as far as the design inside and what they need, what they don't need. Our job is going to be coming with the funding, and at least our part of the funding. Mr. Baez, I met recently. I saw him in a meeting where he's very well spoken, detailed the facts, and I found out that he was a volunteer through social media. He was actually very critical of the commissioners in the past of, you got to move, you got to do something. And so I said, you know what? He's organized. He also likes, he said that he can help with help me find private money, you know, type of thing. And I think that's where everyone at the table, they can be an asset with us when it comes to that, of to handle one part, we handle the public part. We've got the consultants over there who can try to get a piece for us. So that's kind of what I'd like to see this board evolve into, is more of an advisory thing where everyone's got their own tasks to do. And when we have a ribbon cutting someday, they're all going to share it. These are the people that after we're out of it and we write the check, these are the people that are going to run it, function it, and service the community when we're gone, when the commissioners are out of it. So thank you both for allowing it. When I asked for that last week, to have an advisory committee, for jumping on board with this, and it's just time. We've made this, as the three of you have seen, one of our top 3 priorities. The public has demanded it. I think with our emails and phone calls we get, next to water and sewer, this is probably, and you know, utility bills, things like that, it's probably the next big call we get from people is, when are we going to do something with this? We got the players. I guess we have the cooks in the kitchen. Now we just need to bake the cake.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner, I'm sure that you have.
Yeah, well, my only comment is, it's just not clear to me, you know, which direction we're gonna do. We're gonna go yet. Do we have a piece of property where we definitely want to put the dog pound? And secondly, we did hire a grants consultant, and they're in the process of reaching out, trying to find us some federal dollars for a brand new facility. So, we need to zero in on a plan and stick to the plan, okay? We have an architect drawing there. We have another architect drawing that was done a few years ago. And with the idea that our consultants have, it may change the whole game. And At this time, Ty, you want to talk a little bit on what you're looking at to try to secure for the county?
Sure, Ty Beatty, KO Consulting. As Commissioner Malloy said, this is likely a $3 to $5 million project. And with any kind of large capital request like this, given the current political and economic environment, it's going to require a lot of partnerships, we think. We're working on cultivating those partnerships at the moment. And we see that process as probably at least a year-long process while we continue to seek potential funding opportunities along these lines. Otherwise, we're happy to be here to participate in this.
You want to talk a little bit about maybe a different approach that you're gonna like to take with this grant as far as that.
So we don't have a grant in mind at the moment to address a dog pound facility. There isn't really one out there. We're constantly seeking and researching potential grants that could play a role in this, but we do believe that partnering with entities that offer vet tech training or other such services would be our best bet to get large chunks of capital to pay for a facility like this.
So are we, I guess as commissioners, are we not selling the property we already have and have 2 years invested in, $200,000 invested in?
That was my question. I wasn't made aware of it, that we did have a piece of property that someone said that's where it's gonna go.
Sorry, Michelle Goss, Trumbull County Dog Warden. So these plans right here are the newest plans, Commissioner. These drawings are tailored to the property that was given to us from Animal Welfare League. So if we would change these plans, I mean, any major changes or decide to go somewhere else, that is going to be a very hefty cost again, with the architect, to revamp all these designs. But yeah, these are the most recent plans that we have. And that is for, building in front of the Animal Welfare League, the property that they gave us. That property is also in the county's name already, legally. All of that has been taken care of.
Yeah, and Commissioner, just to back up on that a little bit too, Michelle saying, part of that architecture and that study incorporated water and sewer studies that have been done on that property. So to answer that question, and I know, you know, you and I've been here at the meetings even before Commissioner watching, and I know Mara was on it, and it, you know, kind of gravitated to me. So I've been with Michelle out there and I've seen and know what the process is to, you know, I think we're going to have to go with this, where I know we're going to have to go with it is at that property that has been donated. You know what, because it makes sense with AWL being there and the dog pound being here with the services that they have there, even prescription wise, surgery wise, a lot of different things that they have to offer there would just make sense. And Commissioner Malloy had hit on it a little bit earlier. We did have trustees from Vienna that were concerned about, you know, the noises and all that, and they had already gone through all that, you know, process. So I think, well, I know moving forward, when this does come to fruition, that is where that is tailored to be, you know, so.
Jason, were you aware of that? That the property was designated?
Yeah, I was, and I had offered our property as well. To my knowledge, nobody ever came out and looked at it.
I didn't know that.
And with all respect, you know, I disagree that you lose a lot of work. I mean, a building's a building, you know, the sewer studies, the water studies, that obviously probably would transfer. But if you think it's a good fit there, I'm gonna support it. You know, I want a dog pound. I want somewhere for these dogs to go. If that's where you guys want to put it, then that's what I'm gonna support.
How much property is there did they give us?
Yeah, then,
I cannot remember all. I can't remember all. Yeah,
Because it wasn't quite this one, right?
no.
B, here's 193, be everything from 193 all the way up to.
I understand that, but I just wonder how many acres.
gate for Jack, I don't know.
It's a nice chunk, way more than what we're gonna use.
Bill Danso, Prosecutor's Office, from what I remember of the survey, just so the commissioners know too, and Michelle would be able to tell better probably, but my understanding is that some of that is kind of on a pretty steep slope there, so the whole acreage may not be totally usable.
Right.
for-
Correct.
There's a valley back there, and that was like the buffer where no one would be able to develop
Correct, and that's
behind
why
us.
I think the township was happy with that because it was a
Yes.
buffer for noise and there were some trees. But, you know, it's a little bit deceiving in how much usable property I think maybe
Yes.
is in that square.
Would there be room for expansion there?
Possibly. I wouldn't say a lot right there, because just like, prosecutor just said, there's kind of like a. Yeah, like a big hill and big area that it's not buildable. I mean, you could build it up, I guess, but then that puts the shelter closer to, the residents, and, there was a little business there. So that was what we tried to stay away from, and that buffer worked out really good with that.
Right now, it's at 55 kennels is what it's delineated for. And I guess some of those could be divided smaller if need
Yeah.
be, or
Doubled up, yeah.
it's as big or bigger than any other facility in North.
Well, I understand that, but with the need, it will probably gonna grow. We're gonna need room for expansion, right, Jason, what do you think?
Yeah, but we're also expanding too to help out. So it's not the end of the world if that facility.
Jason, I just
stays
want
that
everybody
size.
to, Commissioner Malloy had said, earlier to mention your name. I hate to have to do it all the time, but when we're speaking, let's please mention our names.
Okay,
Yeah,
Jason Cook, Health Drugs Hospital. Sorry.
they make me in charge of that, The bearer of bad news.
Mr.
Anyway,
Bayer said something.
that's what you
about
do
that
as
here.
the
Mr. President.
president. Yes,
Mr. Bayer said something.
yes.
Man, Jerry Dias, no disrespect to you, Commissioner. But this has been planned. Property's been donated. We spent money on designing a building. And to sit here today and toss out, well, I didn't know we had this property, or maybe we should build it someplace else. We're sitting here going 2 steps backwards. We're supposed to be sitting here coming up with a committee and how we're gonna get money to build this. Not start over from scratch. This is the design, this is the plan. We've been doing, how long have we been doing this?
But I do think we're bringing up to speed. This is the first meeting we've had.
But how long,
Specifically, I'm not gonna bring everybody to the table on the same page.
how long have we been doing this? How long was that done? Years?
2 years?
It's been a central location to the county, Liberty, Hubbard, Vienna, Brookfield, Cortland, every place this way. I mean, Jason's place, I mean, he's huge. He keeps growing. He's in Warren. This is central to everybody, all the stakeholders in the county that the dog warden serves. I think we should be sitting here talking about how do we go forward? Where do we get the funding? How do we get the money and get the process going? And not keep debating. Where are we gonna put it? Are we gonna
It's
expand?
not
Are
a
we gonna do
debate.
whatever?
It's not a debate, sir. I just was not, as a county commissioner, was not aware, no one told me that Animal Welfare League donated money to the county.
That's been known for years, sir. I don't. I
No
don't
one
know
how
how
me
we-
that.
I don't know how we.
I don't know how it was known for
There's a lot going on in the county, and this is one issue we never got into.
They just gave them the money, okay? The county gave, and also the county gave the Animal Welfare League $250,000 of ARP money. And then maybe in return, they gave them the property. I'm not sure of all that. All I want to do,
We got the
all
property
I want to
first.
know is what's going on and all the facts before we move ahead.
How long have we had the property?
About a year and a half.
About a year and a half. I mean, it was in the papers, all of us did Saturday night.
But
You know,
just
so-
because something happened before, or as we continue on, there's been some bad decisions made in the county in the past, going all the way back. So going forward, this board wants to be accountable to everything to make sure any bad decisions
I
are
agree.
fixed. And this is, we gotta look at everything, whether it's the dog pound, or anything's on the table for us to fix.
The other
Central
comment I have with this and expansion, how many kennels?
There's 55 and then 8 quarantine kennels,
Okay, how many do we have now?
14.
Okay, so the dog pound itself is not a rescue center. Jason's a rescue center. He holds dogs forever and ever and ever if they can't find homes. There are other entities in the county and we work with outside the county appropriately to try and put dogs in rescue. The county dog pound is not a holding center for dogs to stay for years and years and years. Jason's doing that. Who was the one that we just finally got Nitro?
Yeah.
7 years,
Mhm.
8 years, finally he's in another home. County can't do that. I mean, with respect to expansion, are we gonna become a rescue center? That's not the goal. The goal is to serve the community, get the dogs, get them placed, get them safe, get them adopted, move them out, get them to rescues, and we're working with rescues all over the
Yes.
state. So it's a revolving door. It should never become 100, 150 kennels, 200 kennels, that we become a holding facility for every stray dog out there. That will compete with Jason. We shouldn't be competing with Jason. If Jason can help, if we fill up all 55 kennels and he's got the facility and he can help us move some out and work in conjunction with adoptions and advertising and hey, we have this dog, Jason has this dog, work hand in hand back and forth. And I don't know who else there is. I don't want to leave out the other rescues.
Animal
But
welfare.
animal welfare is right there. And we work in partnership, but we should never be a facility that sits and holds on to dogs for a long period of time. I mean, if we have a dog for 3 months, we're working with other rescues to try and get that dog placed or somewhere where he might have a better chance, she have a better chance at finding a home. And
Well, that's a good delineation. I've never heard that
Yeah.
put that way before.
Yeah,
Like, I'm just running.
Your name, I'm sorry.
Sorry, the president voices. With us, like, we cover the top of the line, the vetting, the training, things like that. So once you get over 55 dogs, I mean, right now we're paying 14 and our bills every month, 10 grand with just vetting. So the more dogs we get, you're gonna have to consider more staffing, more like assistance within your realm versus like us just helping. And I mean, obviously we'll work with them as they grow because we have a really good following, like 70,000 followers on Facebook. But I just think what Jerry's saying is super accurate. Like we seek out Rescue Village and where are they, Cleveland?
novelty.
Yeah, they're super helpful. Jason's wonderful. I mean, we're gonna seek other realms. We're not just gonna hold them for years. So like past 55 seems like.
Michelle, what is by law, what is the responsibility of the dog? What do, as a county commissioners, by law, what do we have to provide the public and what are your duties to the public?
Well, I mean, by law, we have to pick up stray dogs in the community and we have to hold them for 3 days, 72 hours. It is the job of the commissioners to provide a suitable housing, suitable place for the dogs to be housed. It's like a dog kennel.
And what else? I mean, under law, is there anything else? I mean, dog bites are you
We
responsible for?
deal with dangerous dogs, we need dogs dangerous, vicious in the community. We deal with dog bites, we deal with neighborhood complaints. Like if your neighbor's dog gets off property and comes over, and attacks your livestock, or if their dog is just running at large. We do a lot of that. We help with, I get a couple of grants. We help with spays and neuters in the community, dogs, cats, anything like that. We take in owner surrenders when we have the space to do so. We microchip for the public. We do a lot for the public community. And if we can't, then we advise them on where to go.
What about dog licenses?
We sell dog
Commissioners,
licenses.
and Michelle, I think it's really, Alex, Stephen Johnson, Bush Human Resources Department, I think it's important to just, you did a great job with all of that. The commissioners in Ohio Revised Code, there's 3 specific sections of the powers of duties of dog wardens are responsible for underneath the Board of Commissioners. Those codes are 955.01 through 955.27, 955.29 through 955.38, and 955.50 through 955.53. Those dictate out, there's roughly 15 categories, excuse me. She did highlight the top few. But to be very clear, the powers and duties of a dog warden within a county structure are immense, to say the least. And what they also did mention is the fact that the dogs it's not a place to house them forever. No, I want to commend the dog kennel, at least for what it's worth. You have 2 options, really, to be quite frank, and they aren't best options in the world, right? It's find a place for the dog or
Sure.
the dog goes away.
Which we
Okay.
all do.
Which our shelter does not do, our kennel, excuse me, does not do.
And is that about
That was
resolution of the
a pass.
commissioners? Is that a?
No, that's just your instruction.
Okay.
That's how the previous board of commissioners have chosen to run the kennel. However, I will also tell you that previous boards of commissioners, to do my research, have chose to do other things. So it's how you choose to run the kennel. But with that being said, the Ohio Revised Code I want to just kind of like that dictates what the powers are and or aren't. And they are very clear in what can or can't be done, including but not limited to then giving the dogs over to a rescue shelter, to what everybody here said. So that has been what has prevented this county from, in coordination with these shelters, that's what's been prevented Trumbull County from being a kill shelter, essentially, is where we're at. So.
If I can add, Jerry Bass again, it was the community support too. And a person in particular that made us a no-kill center. The community did not want that. If possible. So not only the commissioners and your guidance, the community isn't gonna let you turn it into a kill shelter.
Which would never, I'm not saying any of
I
us.
don't think anybody thinks that's the right answer.
And I'm gonna give you an example. I'm partial to black labs. That's kind of my focus in the labs in general. In Hartford down for me, somebody had reported that a dog had been killed, deceased, laid in the ditch. I won't let a dog perish that way. I know about it. Jason goes out and gets him too. I went down, I found the dog. It was on 305 in Hartford, found the dog in the ditch. There was a ball. It was sad. There was a ball there. Was he chasing a ball? Was he playing whatever? He got hit and he died. He's laying in the ditch. I called the dog warden. Deputy wardens came out, humanely picked the dog up while I was there, and I paid for him to be cremated and properly put to rest. That's a service they did for me. That's what they do or can do.
Amanda Aver, I want to clarify a couple things. It was actually Michelle's choice to, when she came into her position as executive, to not put the dogs down. The only thing that the law states is that you have to house them for 3 days. After that, it's up to the executive board or whatever board of the individual shelters. That's not a choice the commissioners made. It's not a choice anyone else made except Michelle. She's done very, very well with that. And although, yes, for the pound, the goal is to get them in, get them out. Realistically, since 22, adoptions have been slower. They don't stay a week or two anymore. They stay months at a time. Should they be there years? No. But we also have to realize that we are going to be housing them for longer periods of time. Taylor and John can tell you who are the longest residents right now. Exactly. And Wyatt was at the pound for 2 years and then was at Jason's for 2 years before I was able to build the groups that apparently he was supposed to come on feet. But yeah, so I mean, these things happen and it has become the norm. It's not the outlier anymore like it was in 2020 where you were like, everyone had ring back then. Now, no one has ring because adoptions are taking longer.
If I may, Jerry, say this again. Past couple of years, people don't know, and even part of our adoption process should include this. People can't afford their pets. They go and they get their puppies, they get their cats, they get whatever, and they don't realize that it's $100 to $200 a month in dog food. I just came from the vet this morning. One dog, $275. We did. People can't afford that.
Yeah.
Dogs are becoming more dumped and strayed and worse. And part of what we should be doing in the adoption process is really trying to find homes that realize the cost and responsibility of pet ownership. I know it puts a little bit of a burden on, everybody wants to adopt a dog, but how many do we have that come back? And then we bring them back. People need to understand and realize that it is not cheap to have a pet. But that's part of, I think, what's contributing to the influx of dogs and the decrease in adopters.
And if I could, Jason, if I could add something, what he was saying, he's right. The pound shouldn't be designed to hold on to dogs for years. We know that. And I've been around a long time and I went through the bad times when dogs would come in 3 days, not just here, they were put down. They weren't,
Cleveland's doing it.
they weren't adoption centers per se. It's a shift now. The public expects towns to bring in these dogs, take care of them, promote them, and get them adopted. And look at what Voices does. They get them all to all these different rescues. So is 55 kennels enough? Probably for right now. We're expanding, but we have a different role. Like, yeah, we're holding a lot of Trumbull strays right now. But we also believe that sometimes it takes a little bit longer. So yeah, we house dogs a lot longer than say the pound should, but we'll work with them. Like when they're full, we always happy to help them and vice versa. Sometimes they don't have, and then we have 14, but maybe they only have 13. And I pick up a stray like, yeah, we can come get that for you. So I think that size is adequate for right now.
I think it is too. And it doesn't matter if we have 50 kennels or 1,000 kennels. Sorry, Michelle Goss, Trumbull County Board. Whether we have 50 kennels or 1,000 kennels, we're gonna fill them. That's the thing. No matter what. If we have 50, we have 5,000, we're gonna fill them. It doesn't matter. I think it's just more about promoting the dogs, working with rescues, working with Jason, working with Animal Welfare League, and that's what it's all about.
I
And
think,
that's how we are able to get the dogs.
I think if we have a better facility, a more user-friendly facility, it'll flush out better volunteers, more people becoming active with that. Right now, you couldn't handle any more volunteers in the situation you're in right now. They'd be tripping over each
Oh,
other
yeah.
the way that it is. So I think that'll help.
If I can comment, you didn't say your name.
Commissioners.
Oh, you don't?
No,
Why are you special?
we're not really, we really are.
Jerry Bass again.
We
To
can-
add to that, I was gonna say that before you said that. You know, I don't know statistically where the current dog pound is located. I mean, it sits in the middle of the Trumbull County sewer plant. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's deplorable. The building is deplorable. The appearance is deplorable. The weeds are deplorable. The parking lot's deplorable. I don't know if that detracts as to people wanting to come to the pound, spend time there. We can't properly adopt dogs out. We can't properly introduce them to people. We can't properly vet them in the families. And I mean, one of my dogs, I adopted from Hunting County. I spent, because he was a puppy, he's reactive, didn't have people skills and so forth. I went in their big playroom, which would be our, what do we call it over there?
Indoor playroom.
Indoor playroom.
Yeah.
I spent 3 hours with my dog in that playroom playing for him to get used to me. We can't do that in Trumbull County. I mean, it's disgusting. And that's probably one of my criticisms that I gave.
And that's what we're here today. That's why
Nobody
it's a top
wants to
priority.
go there. So having a facility that is respectable to Trumbull County for people to come from every place and look like we're truly adamant about this, trying to take care of the dogs, do it professionally, have a nice place for people to come and spend time with dogs and learn them and not just come play in a caged fence for 5 minutes or do a meet and greet out in a crappy parking lot and then take them home and then figure out whether it's for them or not. They need place to sit, spend time with them, get to know the dog, be introduced properly, and then take them.
I absolutely agree. What was the one thing I wanted when you go to a new building? An indoor playroom, because especially from the pound, there is nowhere. If there's bad weather, it's probably got you off. If it's hot, if it's humid and it stinks outside, it's got you. Yeah, and because the way that building is designed, it's just an old garage. The dogs are coming straight from the kennel to meet another dog. That's not safe and that's not healthy for the pound dog or the home, the dog that's already in a home. Because this dog is coming out from a stressful environment, and if they're short staffed or there aren't a lot of volunteers that day, that dog may not get out for playtime and it's just coming out straight to another dog. That indoor playroom is so important. Because not only, for the introductions, like if there's bad weather or training purposes, because when it's not being used, you can go there, hang out and work with the dogs, work on their training. Because that's another big thing where he said cost, behavioral is another big thing because the dogs of 15 years ago are not the dogs of today. I've been mentoring to become a dog trainer. Even in our basic classes, sometimes they'll get pulled because there are issues at less than a year old that you wouldn't expect to see from a resident house dog. But it's just because the genetics are changing.
Under Jason Cook, one more thing, you know, the elephant in the room is, where are these dogs coming from? We don't know where most of the dogs come from. Touched on it at the meeting last week, you know, 70% of the dogs at our shelter are from the city of Warren. Why is that? You know, is there something that as a county you can do to help with that? Stem the tide? Is there a way we can get some education programs out there? Some funding for spay neuter to help.
Jason, if I can, Jerry Davis again, I'd like to, as part of this, start promoting programs with grocery stores and stuff where we can get food donated, somebody that needs help taking care of their pet, just like the food pantries for people. We need food pantries for people to help take care of their dogs. That way they might not get dumped. They might not get released.
When I was in Sandusky County, this, or, Catawba Island area, every grocery store has a bin outside. Then there's I believe it's Humane Society of Sandusky County. And they have these bins where you buy the food inside the grocery store, you put them in the bin. It's just like a Goodwill, we donate the clothes or whatever it is. And it was full. I mean, it was full. It had, 20, 30-pound bags of dog food that just animal lovers. And I know this is touching on bigger than this room. This room is just a tiny fragment of the animal lovers we have in this county. Like she said, 70,000 Facebook followers for Friends of a Dog Pound. There are people out there willing to help. There are people out there willing to donate. There are people out there that can do their part, whether it's financially, whether it's volunteering their time, whether it's offering some professional assistance and financing a dog pound. That's kind of what this thing is to flesh out to, is to do the best we can do for the animals. Those types of things will fall from this tree with the fruit of this, but the core of this is this building and what are we going to do to move forward to get this building built. And then all this other stuff, I think, is all going to come together with that as we show leadership in the county of taking charge of this problem.
The food pantry would be great, and people do bring things into town. Problem is, there's nowhere to store it because that building is a shoebox. So that's fantastic, but it means nothing, and it can't be a true project, because Michelle's talked about it for years, but she'd love to. But there's nowhere to put it. Every time we try, there's rats that got into one shed, raccoons that got into another. There's nowhere to safely store that there.
We do try to do that. Michelle Goff, Trumbull County Dog Warden. We do try to do that in the community also. Any donated food that we don't use, and we can't use, and as long as people don't mind, we do give that back to the community. I just wanted to say to just briefly touch base on this, that there is an animal resource center coming very soon into Portland. They are going to have community outreach programs, food pantries. They're going to educate the public, low cost space and neuters and stuff like that. We do work with them also. So again, this is just the beginning.
Jason Cook, are you planning on doing this just for the taxpayers, or are you coming up with like structure where you're going to try to get a loan for a certain portion of it, reach to the private sector for a portion of it?
What I would like to see is if someone from the private sector step up, and I've got more meetings this week. I think this meeting will stem more interest, hopefully. Hopefully they'll read about it, they'll see it. Someone's gonna come out and say, hey, we'll donate, we'll step forward. Our family put it in our mother's name, our grandmother's name. Dad was a dog lover, dad was a hunter, raised labs. We'd like to donate some money. We've had some people give us money when they passed, left us in the will, but there are people out there too that could help out. They just haven't been asked, or it hasn't been an organized effort to actually do the ask for that. I think the naming rights of the building, the naming rights of the room are on the table. Each office in this building could be named after somebody in perpetuity to honor their love of animals, their love of dogs. And if we can work with the friends and work with private entities to put that private money together with our public money that we're gonna come up with, I think we can have a state-of-the-art facility and meet all of our needs that we have and check everything off our wish list. And if we have one that functions right, then we've got people like Jason and people out there, like you said, that we can do what we need to do on the county level as what Michelle's job is with her staff, and then be able to make this whole process flow smoother for everybody.
If I can, Jerry Bass, I talked to Commissioner Malloy this morning. Just ideas. I would like to see a breakdown, financial breakdown as far as government money with the commissioners willing to do loan money. I've given them some ideas that I think would produce a considerable amount of money in a short period of time, which would jumpstart everything, and then look to smaller dollar donations and stuff. I don't want to release that publicly at this point. I think that's part of the committee's job to start the planning, but I think there is a way that within months we could jumpstart a significant amount of money coming in now, just on a couple projects.
I agree, Amanda Aber, I agree with Jerry. The last time you and I spoke, I specifically said the commissioners have to put some, it's gonna mean they have to say, this is what we're willing to do. And I think a public, whether you guys take out a loan or wherever you do that, and then the donations will come in, offset that cost, you pay your loan back faster, easy peasy. And I think with having the consultants, I think having a committee with, everyone over here and having the consultants and everyone working together, we can get the private donations, plus the government money, plus the grant money, and make it all work. You just have to set up the committee, that's really all it comes down to. Get the ball rolling.
This will be my last comment.
It don't need to be last.
If you can get this started, people are going to support it.
Yeah.
Just like at our shelter, I get out there, I have people come with bulldozer, excavator, clear lot, show we're making progress, say what we need. If you can get something out there, get it to the public, get all those sponsorship opportunities that Commissioner Roy alluded to. That's how we build our shelter. If you walk to our shelter, every door, every window, the toilet, you might think it's crazy. Sponsor it. We need money. This is what it costs to build it. And they'll do it. And there'll probably be a donor that'll come along and you'll see where it says, I can't read it, Trumbull County Dog Pound Adoption Center. Their name will be across the front of it. Because that's how important it is to the public. But right now, nobody knows what's going on.
I want to,
Right.
Jerry Bass, I want to break down how much the county's willing to put, how much will be loan money. And then from there, what's the total cost we need? And then break down into big dollar donors. Targeted, let's use the term targeted donors at this point, which I think is a very big chunk that we could get very quickly to kickstart everything. The county's shown that they're at risk for this. They're kicking in, they're backing it. We get the targeted donors to start it, the big dollar, the philanthropists in the area, those will come. And then the community itself, small dollar donors, is going to come in at the end. But nobody's going to donate anything if there's not anything to donate.
Well, I agree 100% with that, and I think what this board needs to do, Board of Commissioners, we have to designate a new facility is gonna go in a certain location, be at 193. This is the design, and let people know that this is the start, okay? No more changing. It's gonna go here.
I would like to take that
And this is
as the sales pitch.
this is the facility that we're gonna go with. And then we start opening it up and let people know, we let our grants people know, all right, this is what we have. Try to get it, every state or federal dollar we get, it's gonna help everybody, right?
And right now, if I could interrupt you, again, Jerry Bass, just based on what the consultant said, there's nothing out there. I'm going into this, that there is no grant money. We can't count on that. We look at every other source, we get this thing funded and on the road. They come up with something, icing on the cake. Okay, we need furniture, we need fixed assets, we need washers, we need dryers, we need continued funding, they need vehicles. I mean, but I'm not gonna sit and say, we're gonna get grant funding because There is none right now.
Oh,
Something for
we-
them to
we are-
work on.
Well,
We are competing with 88 counties. Every county's
I know.
got a dog problem.
Exactly.
Got a dog issue, and it isn't like a cap.
We have to be able to do
there may
this
not
on
be
our
a
own.
grant fund, but there may be a grant source
Right.
that we have to identify. All right?
Right.
That's the difference. okay?
Right, foundations, things like that, that are out there.
Right.
you know.
That's what I'm saying. We have to.
let them, we have to let them.
Tag ADKO Consulting, I just want to clarify, there's grant money that we can find for all kinds of things to supplement this. When I said that earlier, all I meant is we're not going to find a single $5 million grant.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
We need to have the plan to fund it and get it going. And anything that they come in with on top is icing on the cake. But we can't sit and have it be dependent upon grant. We'll sit here forever.
And I'll use an example that I've used before. In Wayne County, where Worcester is, they built a big agricultural center where they do their auctions indoors, seats 1,000 people, they have conventions, dog shows, woodworking shows, just a huge, huge building. When they built it, their cost on that was $4 million. And that was about 7 years ago. They went into it, they financed it, did a mortgage on it for 15 years, opened up a community thing where a guy, Schmucker, I think, put his name on the building. They got all the other donors, the $200,000 donors, the 100,000, the 50s, the 25s. They paid the building off in 5 years. So they financed it over 15. After 5 years, they wrote their last check and the building was done because the community came forward to help them pay that building off that quick. So that was for an ag building when they did reach out to the farmers and the big landowners. I envision this being something similar. We're gonna have around the same type of price tag on this thing. We were gonna have to put the money up, I believe, in some way, shape, or form, and then work with some of these donors to maybe pay us back rather than to get the money from them first and apply it towards the mortgage or towards the sale. It's chicken and the egg thing, which came first as far as that. But I think once we make the commitment, here's where it is, here's our price tag, which things are changing. Price that the architect did 2 years ago. The materials are gonna be different right now than what they were 2 years
Yeah,
ago.
but some people, Commissioner, thought that when you did those architect and those drawing, that the money was already committed, all right? And I've been telling them, no, there was no money committed.
Yeah, there was no money committed. There was no money.
There's
It
a lot
was,
of people out there in our county that thought that the money was already committed. That's.
and there are people saying, why didn't you build this when you had the ARPA money? We weren't at that point. We didn't have the architect drawing. We don't even know price tag today, let alone knowing what it was then. It would have been the same thing to be able to apply for ARPA grants for that and to get an ARPA grant.
Yeah, but you could have
For
set
dog
aside
pound.
some money for it, though.
No, I
Yeah, they
mean,
could.
no, actually, it was not allowed under the article, because I researched it. Because I wanted to be able to come to a meeting and be like, hey, this is a great opportunity. They could have maybe squeaked by because technically they're under the sheriff's department. But no, they couldn't because I tried.
I think that was explored a little bit too,
Well,
but
the fact is that's come and gone.
Yeah,
We gotta-
no, it is. Yeah, it's come and gone, but we have to face the whole total budget too, as commissioners,
Okay, well, commissioners, I'm fully in belief that once we get the shovel in the ground, we're gonna have these big donors. I know we've discussed it many a times. People are waiting and chewing at the bit to donate to this.
Oh, I think they'll donate before we put the.
And I
shovel in.
believe so,
I
too.
think if we just say, look, this is where it's going, we made a commitment that this is a facility, we welcome all kind of, any donations.
Amanda, no one is willing to give anything until the county shows
Right.
that they're going to get.
And we've known that, Amanda, and
I've been around for 6 years, no one is going to give their money. And I would not recommend to give any money.
But they can
Until
put
they
it
do
into
it.
a fund, I mean, they can set it into a fund only to be used for
I think,
construction.
like, I just went to county commissioner. I just went to county commissioner meetings last week, and one of the things that came up was debt and debt on counties. Lake County's building a new admin building there, $60 million. They don't have 60 million in their budget. Their budget's very similar to us. I said, oh, you're writing off 60 million? Oh, yeah, we'll finance it. That's what counties do. They finance sometimes 10, sometimes 15, sometimes 20 years, but they're investing $60 million in building a new building in Lake County. Other counties, their dog pounds, Mahoning County, Columbiana County, Jefferson County. I looked at Carroll County. It's not crazy to take a loan out to build a building for county government. You're gonna pay it back. We know we got tax money coming in over the next years. It's just planning. It's planning this year, next year, 5-year, 10-year plan. And we gotta take that first bite though. Like I said, we have to make, like Amanda said, we have to make that commitment to the county. We're doing this. You know, we're doing this. It's gonna cost us. We want to pay it off. We ask the community for their support, and I think people will follow.
And I already, Jerry Dias, I already said that too. That, yeah, nobody's gonna donate until we're serious about doing it, and I think within weeks. The things that I suggested, I think we could start a significant amount of money going towards this. The community's gonna see that there are partners in the county willing to jumpstart this.
And we could do something where we say, hey, we're gonna put in 3 million, we'd like 2 million from the public, and have one of those arrows that we get out at every commissioner meeting. We get donations and show the progress, how close we are, and what our goal is for the month, and those types of things. Somebody can share that. It happens all the time, every day in government and in nonprofits.
Amanda either. Mr. Bernard, the reason people are not going to give money, we've been promised this building for a very, very, very long time, years. Since before any of you three gentlemen were around, we have been promised a new building and have not gotten it. So this is a put your money where your mouth is situation at this point, not a goodwill. I'm gonna trust you and have goodwill situation.
Amanda, here's an example. I was at, I'm not gonna say, but a prominent vet this morning that we take our dogs to. I'm talking to the owner. He didn't know we were building a dog pound. The vet that we used did not know we were building a dog pound.
Well, I probably, I can understand that. You know,
So I think part of the committee is to jumpstart that and make
and
our
and
bigger
that's what-
partners
And that's what I
aware
said a few minutes
that
ago. We need, the Board of Commissioners need to designate an area and say, this is the facility we're going with, so everybody knows. Now we're moving forward.
The passport did, but
But should.
I guess we should
Okay.
reiterate it.
I mean, if they have to reiterate it, then they reiterate it, make a confirmation, but you know, that.
Make a
If
total
that's a technicality you guys have
Make
to
a
do,
total
then
commitment to doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm not, I don't know, maybe the passport did that or didn't do that, but I was unaware if they did do that.
Well, we did commit the money for that facility to go the next step with the artist rendition, the artist, that was, we didn't say just do us a rendition of this place for 250 just because. I mean, it was with intent.
I mean, if you need to do a resolution that you guys vote on that solidifies that we're doing the building, this is where it's at. You have your task force in place that is gonna start working on the money. The commissioners come up with, or in conjunction with the task force. Here's the money allocation, that this is what the county's committing. This is what the next entity's committing. This is what, I mean, I know we've talked about some other things, this money, and this is what the task force is going after.
We have a couple donors already that I've had conversations with, that once we start the program, they will kick it off. And have agreed to put their name to help kick off the program. And that's something, until the ink's dry, and that, I don't want to disclose that either publicly. Until I ask you guys for the support to allow that.
So, Jason Cook, so before we move forward, can you get a updated price tag so that we have something to work with? Like, what is it gonna cost to
We
build?
already paid you, we have to figure out what, I don't know, Cheryl would know how much we paid the architect already for this, and if that's included in the plan already. It should be for what we paid.
I meant, like, you said building supplies are going
Right.
up. Like,
That
what is it
would have to
actually?
be.
And
I'm
the
sure.
other-
The point is,
Readjust
it
it.
needs to be done. I mean, even if it goes up, we change our goals, if the county changes what they put in, but
Yeah.
it needs, it needs to go forward, the commitment needs to be there, whatever the dollar amount is, and it's gonna be a revolving door like anything is with government. And we just focus on getting the sum total.
Right.
Bill,
Mr. Chairman,
the
you guys-
prosecutor's office, just to clear that up too, what will happen next if the commissioners go for the next step on this is the architect will prepare specifications to go out for the construction firms to bid on. part of that will be an engineer's estimate of cost that they will update when that new form gets prepared. So one way or another, if you go forward on this, there will be a new engineer's estimate based on the new, as of the time that it would be scheduled to go out to bid. At the very least, there will be a new engineer's
And
estimate.
I think the money that I'm looking at, or the ideas that I have, it's gonna be fixed dollars regardless around, it's gonna be $5, $10, $15,000 regardless of what the price is. So, their donation is not gonna be based on, well, the building's going up, so I'm gonna give you more. It's gonna be, here's what we're willing to give, and we take and accumulate that from the various sources, and we'll have to make adjustments. I mean, in the big dollar donors and the philanthropists, that's where I think some of the bigger adjustments are gonna come from. What the county commits to is gonna be an adjustment.
Bottom line, none of this matters if you don't get the committee started. Because you've got Voices, which is incredible at fundraising, and they have a great following on social media. We have the consultants, which are right there finding the government money. You have the commissioners and Michelle and Jason who can sell ice to an Eskimo. I have people that still recognize my name in class, they're like, oh, here's a Trumbull girl. Yes, it's. So I mean, you put everyone together. Until we do that, everything else costs. Where we get this, and it's nothing, you have to put the group together officially before we do anything else. We're talking 5 steps ahead, and we're still on step 1.
Right.
Chair Taylor heard her name mentioned, so I think she has something to say.
I have some numbers. Their estimates, of course, we did try to, Sheriff Taylor Commissioner's Office, we tried to apply for grants to get some of this at least started, get it built, whether it be partial. Part of it, we were not successful in that endeavor, but the total that I have, and like I said, it's an estimate, $3.3 million. That's for the entire thing. Now, for the actual architect, we spent $205,700. So they have some work to do. We didn't even have the drawings because we just put a stop to it until we could figure out, where exactly we were going with this whole endeavor. So.
Sheriff, that number, I believe that was some interior items too, wasn't it?
Yes, it's
There was
a lot.
of interior.
And I can make copies for everybody so that you can see it.
There was fans included.
Yeah.
Stephen Jonesy Bush.
Yeah.
There was some operational need stuff included into that. I was just kind of
Right.
staying in my lane, but yeah, I think
This
was presented at one point very early on. I think though, again, to Bill's point, I think we're all kind of saying the same thing, which is good. It should, some time's gone by.
Yeah.
So with a proper bid, what would happen I reiterate what Bill said, is that we would get more current costs. I mean, I don't think it, again, who knows how far off it would be.
3.3 doesn't give me sticker shock at all. I'm
We
kind of
knew it would be
happy about that, even if it went up $1 million.
headed towards about 4.
I want the 60 million Lake County.
You know?
I think that's what we, yeah.
Question for the commissioners. Jerry Bass, I said it like.
But they make us, if you gotta watch that. You gotta watch it.
We have to go out for bid on this.
You gotta watch that.
Okay, so if we go out for bid on this, there's like Jason has had people, contractors that donate time. I saw somebody put a post up with showing a crane, like he's willing to donate his crane. So if you have a construction company willing to donate time and labor to the effort, how does that affect a bid process?
So we had to defer to our prosecutor, and I know nothing about that.
I'm Bill Danso, prosecutor's office. I'm a little concerned about the ethics implications of firms donating time. I mean, I love any donation that people are willing to make to the county, so we can certainly explore if there's a way to, let's say, divide parts out of the bid for general construction to account for maybe any donated services. But we'd have to be careful with it because we don't want to give any perception.
But it
that
is
there's-
something we could look at.
We
That,
could certainly look at.
Somebody's gonna give money and put their name on the building. Somebody might.
But I guess
Give
if
the
someone
entire
bid, they
time.
bid low, but they put in their bid that they're donating this, the bid price, the bid price.
That might, yeah, but again, I don't want to see anybody in the county or the contractors get an ethics problem, so we'd have to look at it. you know, but it's something we could look at. I have no objection to checking
We'll
into.
make sure they don't make any money at it. Right? They will do it at a loss.
But
Go ahead.
Amanda A. Bear, again, these things mean nothing until we get a start. I'm gonna just, how I explain to my clients, we're on 2+2, we're not ready for algebra yet. So let's work the beginning and then we can work on these stages later.
And I agree with Amanda. We could, this round table, we could be, we all know the
Well,
implications.
we flushed
what we're
out,
dealing
we
with.
flushed out the stuff we need to
So-
flush out, that's good.
Commissioner, I just want to point out one other thing, and Sherry did this out of, for the commissioners, we did apply for a grant for 3.3 million with, Congressman,
500,000, wasn't it?
Joyce's office and also
I wanna know
through
about
Senator Marino's,
That's for all of it.
through Senators Marino's office. So we did try to get a grant for this, all right? And, they just told us no.
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, I think there were some projects that were pushed down from last year, and that's why we got, so we'll continue to
But
do.
they did say, she wrote the grant and they did say that it was a well put together proposal.
Yes.
And we actually thought we had an outside chance, you know, but it was up to what Congressman's office and senators to submit it.
And there was a list ahead of us even,
Right.
we came in at the end, so it was kind of like,
But we will submit it again.
oh, absolutely.
Okay, but hey, she did all the work though. I mean, she did.
You want to share it?
Would anyone like a copy of this? Yes? Anyone else? I'll just make it
Mr.
up.
Chairman, I'm gonna get a question in the back for a long time from Mr. Schiff.
Sean Schiff.
There you go.
Sean Tripp, Trumbull County resident. Yeah, I back up Amanda 100%. That the problem is this pound has never been anything more than talk. This board's talked about it, previous boards talked about it, the board before. Trumbull County residents have been promised this pound for so many years, and it never happens. If it wasn't for AWL donating that land, and I believe the gentleman who passed away and left that 250,000, we wouldn't be where we are right now. But a perfect example of the problem is, even as this meeting started, this board is not even in sync yet on where the pound is gonna go. He was out of sync when the meeting started.
Well, the commissioner didn't have any.
Now, I agree that I understand the concern over the expansion of this location, because that's been the problem with the current pound all along. There was never any room to expand where they were. So I can understand that concern. But I also agree expanding isn't the answer either. The answer is the voices, the people who help, take the animals and relocate them. We really need spay and neuter programs in the county. I don't know if the county can help fund with that, if the local municipalities can help fund with that, until we get the spaying and neutering under control. And then address the issue, like Jason said, people can't afford their animals. So I mean, hopefully the demand, hopefully 50 kennels is enough, but until you guys can lock down that this is definitely gonna be the location, that is 100% where it's gonna go, no more questions about it. And a shovel hits the ground, no one is gonna donate $1.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that, Mr. Shook, and I know that Commissioner Malloy. And I believe Commissioner Bernard, he was not aware because he hasn't been on it as long as what we have.
Well, no one told me that they committed this property to that.
Yeah, see,
I understand that,
Okay, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it was just.
but I'm just saying, it was an
We never
example of
discussed.
the board not being in sync.
right.
Absolutely.
If the board's not in sync, then what, all this is just nothing but talk.
And that's what I said, we need to all be in sync, we all need to have a plan, we all need to know what we're gonna do and where we're gonna go at.
Right. Okay, so commissioners, we've heard, we're talking about a committee. I have reached out to HR. I was concerned about, the committee being put together. And I'm sure that the commissioners are concerned as well about who we're dealing with. I don't know, Jerry, you seem like a great guy. I just don't know you.
Most people don't like.
I just don't know you personally. I know Amanda, we know Michelle and Jason. So what I had proposed, or what I had asked Alex to do, our HR director, was to give us, and she emailed that, an example of an application and a little basic resume. Is this all of it? That we
The
can,
good news is we're all asking the same thing, so that we're on the right direction, so that's a good thing.
right, Alex, do you want to explain a little bit what our conversation was?
Sure.
Concerning this, so that we can,
So
Yeah,
commissioners, in the
forward here.
past, and I'm gonna take you along a little evolution, there's always been concerns. I mean, Michelle has worked diligently and to have dog kennel or dog wardens before, separate dog wardens, to work through the prosecutor's office to get what's called a volunteer. If you work at the dog kennel currently as a volunteer, you have already signed this. Well, I hope you have. But that's the whole point is we just wanted to make sure that the necessary scope was determined. That's up to the board of commissioners. I have no hand in that, but that was the first step that I felt was necessary and to help guide along the process. Set a purpose, set a topic, set who's making decisions, timelines, deliverables, and accountability. I think that's the first thing that you need to, whenever you go into any type of panel or scope or whatever the case may be. Once that's determined by the board of commissioners, again, I have no hand in that. This is totally between the board of commissioners and how they choose to create this panel and however you choose to do it, and that's your choice. But after that, I do feel that it's in the best interest of the county that we do make sure that you're collectively asking for feedback into this panel. We're not just handpicking, cherry picking. I think that you should entertain anybody who may want to have a hand in this, because that is very important. That's transparency and that's how government should be run. With that being said, what we typically do, I did some research for other panels, is we ask for a statement of interest. We ask for obviously some sort of application. It just so happens to be that we already have a volunteer application on file with the dog kennel that's been run by a prosecutor's office. I would hope, as somebody who gets involved in operations in this county, I go to the dog kennel often. What I like to see is that anybody who would be on this panel would be interacting with the staff. Go see the kennel, go see what they're dealing with, go see what they're dealing with every single day. And that does speak to what everybody said here. There is no room for adoptions. There's no room to, I've seen all the stuff sitting in piles of chairs for donations. We hear you. But we should have some sort of something that covers us. What if a person gets bit? What if a person trips and falls? So we do have to take into account that liability when you're entering into our facility, so to speak. So what that would do is that would do that. But yeah, I think you should have a statement of interest, some sort of application sign, references, and then my biggest thing that I like to always add, you can do what you want, commissioners, but a conflict of interest. Is there any sort of conflict of interest with you being on this panel that there may be something we need to discuss? And then that's that. So.
Can you expound on that a little bit, Bill? The reason why we would ask for the resume and the application process being that we don't know, other than Jason and Michelle, who, we already figures going to be on this committee. The reason why we do this.
Well, I think that the bottom line is Bill Danso, prosecutor's office. I think the bottom line is it's up to the board whether you want to do that or not. I think Alex is saying that she thinks it might be good for you to review just to see who might be a good fit based on that background. But ultimately, from a legal perspective, it's really up to you guys how you want to do that. There's no set in stone requirement for building out an advisory panel. I do think that, like Alex said, anyone who is going to be on the panel ultimately who is going to visit, and I encourage the same thing. I encourage them to visit the current location, to take tours with Michelle, however that's going to work. I think then we do get into the realm of having them sign off on the volunteer and release paperwork, just because of, as we know, we sometimes do have reactive dogs in there. We don't want anybody to be injured. We don't want anybody to be, we don't want to have anything in there that's undisclosed that people don't know about that could be a risk. So that's where I would say whoever is chosen ultimately should perhaps do
The committee
that.
itself, everything dogs in the pound. I mean, people going in and seeing Jerry Bass. People going in and seeing the dogs, whatever, doesn't have anything to do with the committee. That's Michelle's job with respect to introduction to anybody that wants to go in and see her. We already got 70,000 people there, and how many people she's got with voices that come in and leave every day. The committee's focus is promoting the pound and pulling in funds, not introducing dogs or taking dogs out or anything like that. It's solely from the money standpoint, promoting the pound and getting the thing built.
I just want to clarify, that's a great point, Mr. Bass, but I do want to clarify that again. So for example, if I were wanting to be on the committee, one of the first things I would do as a boots on the ground type of person is.
She already does that
Well.
with every volunteer that goes through.
Right, that's all this is.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Right, yeah,
That's all
I mean,
this
if you wanna
is.
go in and see,
Yeah.
but people can go in without filling that out and see the dogs. People that go in and adopt don't fill anything out. They go in and they see the dogs and so forth.
I totally get
So-
it, but I'm just anticipating from what I'm hearing from this conversation is that this will be a committee that's involved in maybe many aspects. So maybe you haven't, well, they haven't said what they want yet either, so that's part of the problem. So until they define that scope, really, we're kind of just spinning our.
As far as the volunteers at the pound and working with the dogs and so forth, I don't think the committee has, that's not an issue for the committee. That's not their goal. We're not saying, hey, donor, come down and we'll show you a dog and so forth. It's a separate entity. With respect to anybody seeing the dogs, that's already under Michelle's purview with respect to paperwork and so forth. But we have people coming in every day, walking through, looking at dogs, they're unsupervised and all kinds of things going on that probably should be dealt better with an appropriate pound.
But what I'm asking is, there should still be some sort of expressive interest into being on the committee, no matter what. Otherwise,
You know how many, in the end, I think if this gets started, how many people are gonna be on? I mean, we could be looking at hundreds of people
Well,
through organizations.
yeah,
You got an organization here with
they need to scope
70,000
what you
people.
want it to be.
You got Jason's organization, you got, again, I don't know, all the volunteer organizations. The committee itself is an entity.
Sure.
But then all of the other volunteers are a separate thing. They're not all out saying, selling everything and pulling in money.
Mr.
So
Bass,
the committee itself is.
we understand that, but to put this committee together to have the voices to the commissioners, this is what the commissioners have to discuss and what I believe we're asking for. And this is informational at this point, but is that correct,
Prosecutor's office.
Commissioner?
I don't, before you speak, bro, I don't envision, like when we used to have the transportation board or senior advisory board where they have votes and they have.
Well, not-
They don't.
Not
I think this is more of a loose advisory, kind of more like the water. We said Rex P, got experience, you chair this thing,
Right,
and people and entities from these things can have a
Right.
representative.
but it was organized.
It was organized in
This is
that
organized. You
sense.
can't have, I understand there's 70,000 following, but you're not gonna have, listen, we can't have,
But we didn't have anything,
100
fill
people.
resume out, fill an application out. It was like, we know Friends of Dog Hunt. We know they should have a representative. We know Jason should have a representative.
no doubt, no
Voices.
doubt.
Yeah, they, and Walter Lake, they should have maybe a representative. Then they deal with their own entities.
No, that's.
The committee, Jerry Bass, be quiet. The committee and the chair is the organization under the commissioners. They're the ones, that is the entity, which should be fairly small, that sets the standard in the control of how everything else works.
I get that, but they haven't done that yet, so that's
Right.
that's all I'm gonna
That's-
say.
I mean,
That's
we're
what-
already-
Yeah,
Right.
I think we're kind
We're-
of, they need to set what they want their.
We
Well, I
have to
agree.
figure out how narrow the scope is. I guess
Don't
how
make
narrow
it like
the
you can see
thing is.
that.
how big. We don't want to have every meeting and new people come and then you're right back to thing. And yet, like you said, you have 30 people want to sit the next meeting. We have to establish
Right.
the core. Then they can reach out to those people and have subcommittee meetings or go maybe
Yeah.
break from there and have
From
a
there they can.
volunteer committee
But
for
this is
funding.
the
You go
core.
out and get donations for that
This is the
too.
core committee.
Right.
Okay?
Yes.
The
And
core.
I agree with
Thank-
her,
Yeah.
like, if we're gonna have skin in the game, so forth, we're gonna wanna go down there, we're gonna wanna see the facility. You know, if I'm talking to a prospective donor and they say, well, why do we need this $4 million pound? I'll say, you know what, let's go down, you're gonna sign a waiver, nobody comes into our facility.
It's a
without
waiver. I just want to be
Yeah.
very clear. This is not an
It's
incentive.
something like that, yeah, but
Like,
then
I think you.
it's something like, somebody wants to give us $1 million, absolutely. But it still falls under Michelle's purview with respect to going in, not
I
the
agree.
committee itself.
No, I agree.
We don't have
This
anything to
is-
do with that.
But
I to be clear, this is for the Board of Commissioners for what we have to do for our own other reasons.
And if they are gonna be, if these board members are gonna be an extension of us and we're to have the right to talk to a millionaire about, hey, we need money for the dog pound. I wanna make sure that person is reputable, their background's reputable.
I don't even think that should happen. That's.
So, Amanda,
It would be, someone's gonna make the initial contact, you know, these board members may make a meeting or set a meeting or get a contact. We wanna make sure we don't have every Tom, Dick and Harry saying they're representing the
The
commissioners.
board is not.
You know, knocking
representing
door
the
to door,
county.
collecting with a can for
It's
donations.
accountable to the
Dog-
county. It's
You're
accountable to the
actually
commission.
informational to the commissioners so that we know where we need to be, what's going on, who,
Exactly.
you know, and again, the only reason why I reached out in this manner is we just couldn't put something together and throw people on it. We have to have an idea about, you know, like I said, Mr. Baez, I know you're a great person, but I don't know you from Adam, yeah. So
I
if,
like it like that.
yeah, and if we could get the information that we need, the commissioners then could work for, you know, on putting these members together under this warden, Michelle.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
you know, us as commissioners, we have to decide how many
And we
members
have
we
to
want
figure
on
out
that.
how
board.
many on that.
And I agree with Mr. Baez. I think we need to keep it small, okay? The larger.
Oh,
it gets,
absolutely.
Okay, and
Yeah.
we have to, and we haven't even discussed, you know, do we want 5 members? Do we want 6 members? How many members do we want on that,
That's
okay?
correct.
And that's gonna be our decision that we have to work out. I
Right.
think
But I
basically,
can
the only
already
thing,
get a
the only
good
thing that
feel.
we've agreed to is that Jason and Michelle both should be on that committee.
Absolutely.
We have.
But I would also say at the same time, we gotta look at the conflict too. I wouldn't want Jason to be the chair of it when he has his own organization he's raising funds for at the same time.
Well, you asked for him to
So-
be the chair of it last week.
But no, to go chair, putting this together, bringing the group together, I have to say.
Interest in there, so.
I did, that's what I mean, I read that, that's what I saw, and nor we want a construction company specialized in building dog pounds,
Right.
being our chair, or being
So that's all a
an
part about,
officer in
that's all
that,
a
and
part
they're gonna
about
steer
it being,
towards that.
commissioners, that's all a part about it being organizational.
Organized.
I mean, that this is the way this needs to be set up, like we did with the sanitary.
Yeah.
Similar,
Think about
you
what we
know.
wanna do, how many members, and, you know, does each commissioner appoint 1 member, 2 members, or what? You know what I'm saying?
Amanda Abear, I don't see the problem with putting that in,
Yeah,
with doing the, you know, so that way the commissioners know who has interest.
Well, and I think,
And
I
but
think
you also have to have.
we've got the body here now, we can publicly talk about this stuff in public, it's like we're gonna disappear in a meeting and decide
Do you
we're
want
gonna do it in
five?
public anyway.
Do you
Well,
wanna-
no, but maybe we wanna think about it, and
Do you wanna do 5 or 7, because you have to pick an odd number?
well, that's.
No, because you don't need it on, pardon me, sir.
No, go ahead.
You don't need it on number because it's not a voting.
Decision
committee.
making, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you can literally start your committee with a chair, 1 or 2 members. The committee can grow with the permission or approval of the Board of Commissioners. I don't think you need to sit here and say, I'm gonna pick 10, 15, or 20 people and we're gonna vet everybody.
Yeah,
Start
I-
your committee,
Agree with that.
chair, 1, 2, 3 stakeholders, and get it on the road and let it go from there. And if we want to add, it, you know, it grows enough that we need 3, 4, 5 people on top of it, fine. But the more people, the more opinions, and the more it starts to break down and fall apart. But if you have 2, 3, 4 people at the most reporting to the commissioners, you're still going to bring in all the stakeholders, voices, him, who are you? Your voices too? All the other charities that are all the other, I mean, we got animal protectors, we've got the Harnett Foundation. All these other entities that are vying for money and trying to fund their own things, but also want to contribute to the pound. They're not part of the committee, but they're going to be involved. You're going to have tons and tons of people that are going to be involved.
I agree, I don't
It's
know if
not
we need
part
to
of the
go as far
committee.
as a committee that's gonna have bylaws and votes and I don't think we need to do that. I think it's more of an advisory
Yes, an
here
advisory.
that we can say, yep,
A
you guys have
sanctioned
permission to
group-
go and.
A
Raise
sanctioned
funds.
group that now, under the authority of the commissioners, can go out and start collecting and asking for donations.
Bill Danso, prosecutor's office, the one thing that, and I don't disagree with a lot of that, the only thing you might want to consider is if you are thinking about a small group, perhaps like some of your other boards, even the statutory boards, you could have it so there's 1 or 2 members that are going to be representatives of rescue agencies, 1 or 2 members who are representatives of veterinary, 1 or 2 members who's just a member of the public who's interested, you know, maybe from Voices.
I've already got people in mind that would be specialized in hitting different
Sure.
factions.
And I think that's what I was just, yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
but they don't have to be board members. The board,
Yeah, they
or
don't
the
have to
board or
be.
the committee or the task force, whatever, kind of sets that structure. Keeps them, sets what their parameters are gonna be. The commissioners are always informed of the parameters. Let them go.
Yeah, that would work if that's how they want.
Yeah, I don't want to structure like animal welfare league has their board and they do their finances, and they do this, but we do have to establish too. If we're gonna bring money in, this is one the question for a prosecutor. Say someone comes forward tomorrow and says, we'll donate, I'm gonna donate 50,000, or I want the name rights to the building, I'll give you 500,000. Where are we gonna put it?
We have a fund created.
There is
and it has to go
There's
to
not be
you,
a fund.
to the
That's-
commissioner.
Yeah.
Is that a fund, a separate fund, or is that
It's
the
not.
voices fund, or?
That's ready.
It's a separate.
Commissioner, just to clarify something that came up earlier, somebody mentioned earlier that the county can't accept donations.
We
That's
can't.
not
That's
true.
not true.
The county can, we do regularly accept donations and
Yes.
various things. The law clearly allows for people to make donations to the county and to designate it for a specific purpose, and we're bound by
Okay.
that. So we have a fund set up, I believe, for the dog warden donations for this
Yes.
specifically.
Yeah.
And we do it for other agencies as well. So that is possible.
Dog warden donations or kennel specific.
Yeah, so
It's. You
it's
want me to
right,
read
it's
this?
in the higher right, I have it here. for
Because
you.
we don't want people to say, hey, I'm gonna give you money and then it's spent
Well,
for something else. This has to be kennel specific.
I think the only difference is what gets donated directly to that secondary fund is not tax deductible. But if it
That
goes
is,
through
that is
voices,
correct.
but if it
That's,
goes through
There's
voices,
a, yeah.
as a 501c3,
Correct.
they can't use it.
And it does speak to that, and if you,
yes.
President, if you would like to read that, by all means, that's why I brought it, so everybody was on the same page as what the
Sure.
funding source is. It cannot be directly given to Michelle per se, but there is a dedicated revenue fund underneath the Board of Commissioners that is set aside per Ohio Revised Code that is legal, transparent, reported on, and matter of fact, Commissioners. I'm not gonna answer that here, I'll
We need
have to
tax
get back to you,
deductibility.
but what I will say,
I don't believe.
I don't believe it is, and that's why I didn't wanna answer, but we can.
Somehow we need that.
But the reason why that fund was, I wanna be very transparent, the reason, cause I've done some research the past couple weeks with, I knowing this was all gonna kind of bundle up. Was that what you're looking at back there, there's 3 drawings, that money that was left, that was donated to the Board of Commissioners was set aside into that specific funding stream for that reason, that's how it got kept. In that, so just for full transparency, that money is set aside for that reason, it doesn't go anywhere unless the Board of Commissioners dictate how you want it to be.
Yeah,
spent.
but then again, that came from an estate of
So-
a dead guy, he wasn't getting taxed.
But
The
to,
money that people were gonna
to
donate.
answer that question about,
The state might have had a deduction.
but to answer the question about what it can be used for, whether it's construction or just general pound expenses, it depends on what the donation purpose was.
Okay.
So in theory, there could be 2 separate funds, and probably should be, frankly, if this is a method that we're gonna pursue here. There should be a separate line item in the fund set up for people who donate for the construction and separate for people who donate for general operating expenses.
That
And
has to be, yeah, that has to be.
that way we can clearly track and keep track of both.
Let me,
I have that.
Okay,
It would,
We have that.
I got it.
Yeah.
and as far as like the 501c3, it would be up to like voices to decide if that's something that they're willing to take
no,
on.
you cannot. do
Or
that.
if not, like with a separate fund, it would probably have to be separate.
No, you
too.
cannot go
As-
through one of the existing 501c3s. If anything, if you guys cannot figure out a way to make that tax deductible, I think your committee itself
We'll have to
forms
do
a
that.
separate nonprofit 501c3 building fund for Trumbull County Pound, something to that effect, that specifically can pull in the money and the donations and go right to the county. You cannot funnel this through other existing
Well, that's what I was gonna say, like,
501c3s.
it wasn't gonna be able to be voices that, a separate 501 would have to be set up because the
That's,
best of my knowledge. I think one thing that you can do tax deduction is through the nonprofits, through like a 501.
Figure out a
Yeah,
way to
we
set up
talked
the
about
nonprofit.
that. That is a big
I
thing.
think it's,
That's one
Yeah.
of the main things.
Yeah,
It's
so
the
the
tax write-off part.
Yeah.
Big donors are going to want,
Tax write-off.
but it has to be, I would do it as a separate, if we have to go there.
and they
now,
can.
C3,
Pardon?
can't they run it through your fund?
No, that's what.
That's
I was
what
doing
it is. That's what-
That's what-
That's, I would add, that's what.
I'm saying,
I think also the commissioners have to be careful about being too involved with a nonprofit in this. If it truly is a separate nonprofit, that's one thing, but I think the county has to be careful legally about becoming too involved with the setup of a nonprofit.
Agreed.
Work out the details, but it has to be, I would suggest it this way, that it's a separate nonprofit established for the sole purpose of building the building. And when the building is built, that nonprofit terminates. And then your money goes to, anybody that donates after that or whatever, goes through general operations, goes through voices, goes through however you want to fund it at that point. But it's specific for building the building and terminating the finality of the building.
Well, those things are, I guess, good for discussion and how we do that and how that is, that dynamic is brought together. I'd like to move forward, commissioners, if you don't mind, with, that we have Michelle, we have Jason here.
Yep.
How do we want to set up a what do you call it? The chairman of this, is if there is such a thing? I mean, do we need a chairman?
I think we do. I think we need a link.
So do you, I mean, is it a conflict of interest to have Michelle do it as a county employee?
Yeah, I think so.
And
I think-
is it a conflict of interest for Jason
Are
to
you
do
involved
this
with
up?
anyone officially?
I mean,
Why don't we wait, why don't we name the members first? See how many people we want on the committee as the commissioners. We can decide that, give us the next Tuesday at our workshop, we can present that. And then let the committee decide who they want to be chair.
okay,
That's what let's do this. We did with Rex Fee. We named him chair.
Yeah.
Interim chair until the big board met. When the board met, they made a decision. For the time being, to get this thing started. There will be people we bring to the table that are entities of different organizations. We gotta have 5, 7, we gotta have something. We gotta have a number of who our core of the advisory committee is. And because when we meet, we can't just open the doors. We have to have what our numbers. I think, like we said, we need to delineate. We should have a money person or a tax person or an accountant or a lawyer or somebody that sits on this. We should have the different entities that are common representative of someone from Voices, someone from Jason.
But I'm
someone from
surprised
Welfare.
the people that's reached out to me and I said, you know what, I don't even know how many members we have yet
Right.
that want to serve on that. That's why I think we need to come up with a number and then let's name everybody. And we can name a chairman next week when we name the whole committee. But let's see who the people are.
you know what,
first.
I would agree with that, and I'm gonna tell you why, Commissioner, and I know Jerry shaking his head no, but this is gonna happen. It's just that the commissioners need a little bit of time within a week to discuss what we've been putting together today.
When are we gonna discuss it, I guess? Are we gonna eventually think, when are we gonna,
We
because
can-
publicly, we can only do so many times between,
Well,
we got
right.
tomorrow.
How
Or what do we
many-
got tomorrow?
I think at the workshop, we
Well,
should
how
discuss
many
it.
members do we want to put on there? Do you want 5 on there? Do you want 8 on there?
Doesn't
Do you want
matter.
9
You
on
can
there?
start with
No.
3.
Well, wait, but
You
that's
can
up to
start
us to decide.
But I'm suggesting it could be 2, it could be 3, it
Well,
could be 4. It
let's-
doesn't need to be an odd number and it
Yeah.
can grow.
Well, we don't
We
want
have to get it going.
You know, everybody tells you if you get too large, then all
I
you
just
do
said
is
it shouldn't be that
Right.
big, but say somebody from some big regional bank wants to be on it, that would help
Or a
promote.
big donor
I
that wants to
think
come forth and wants a board seat.
I think you are,
It's easy to find out.
that's,
We had a gentleman back there with his hand raised, Mr. Chairman.
Jack Pasco, Trumbull County resident, volunteer. I think we already have the solution. Once the committee decides how many members, she has an application. To me, the committee should be able to pick and choose. However, based on their qualifications, like on the water, we need somebody that's familiar with analytics or whatever. There's all kinds of different things that go in. So why it seems like we're just going in circles now, where we just need to say, okay, we need 5 people, 7 people. Or you guys are gonna tell us next Tuesday, we're gonna have 7 people apply here and move forward.
sure, but a couple stakeholders. And then the board present to you, hey, this person wants to be involved, because we could be 3 months into this, 4 months into it. And Anthony Cafaro says, hey, I want to be part of your.
But we already have 2. We don't need to name a chairman. We got Michelle, and we got Jason. You got two members right there, right?
Michelle can't be.
You really need, you don't need a chairman at the moment. If you at least have two members that you're gonna have on that board. Tuesday, we could discuss, how many that we want to have on this board, but I agree with Mr. Bass. We may have those come in. We don't want to exempt ourselves from, some high-powered bank, somebody that comes in and says, listen, I want to be on this board.
Wants to give us $500,000, I'm gonna say, yes, you can be on that.
Oh, absolutely.
Take dinner.
That's what I'm saying. That's why,
We're not gonna
that's
go.
wai don't want, that's why I don't know that we.
Can we establish for right now, at least for the interim, so when people ask us, well, who do I reach out to? Who can I contact? What are you guys doing? Instead of us, all three of us taking the calls.
Yeah, Michelle and
That's
Jason.
what I'm saying. We got Michelle, we got Jason, we
Right.
have Mr. Bass, we have a representative of Voices. Those are four people that I think we've already established as a core. We start with that and then move on from that.
Well, I don't have,
Honestly, the banks, all these other people come in, they're stakeholders in it. They don't need to be part of the board.
no, they may not even want to be Mr. Bass.
I mean,
No, but they may chair a committee, a subcommittee. You're in charge of
maybe they have a job.
doing the banks, you're in charge of
Right.
doing the veterinarians.
It doesn't need
There
to.
could be a subcommittee, they underneath the advisory. And if they bring a lot to the table, we add them on there or something more, we listen to them.
Not to put you on the spot, Michelle or Jason, do you have opinions about what has just been said about Mr. Bass and, I'm sorry, Taylor,
I mean, I guess we just need some structure and some uniformity with it. I mean, I guess my question would be so are we going to do the application?
That's why,
We need to set,
that's why
are we doing that, or are we just picking right now?
Well, I believe that there's,
Then you could learn more about us.
well,
I don't believe your nonprofits should be on the board. There's a conflict. Everybody is grabbing for money, but you can't. You could be part of the solution. You don't need to be part of the board. Jason's grabbing money, they're grabbing money, everybody's grabbing money. It needs to be
this is the problem.
a delineated.
See, this is why, Mr. Bass, this is why we're at this point that we can't just say, okay, yes. We need to really, we've heard the voice, or no pun intended. No pun intended.
Heard the comments.
We've heard the comments. We need to discuss and gather our thoughts as to how this looks. And Mr. Bass, you brought up a good point. He says, a lot of nonprofits on this board, you could have everybody grabbing for money. I don't know. Is that true? I don't know. Jason, I don't really believe that Jason's gonna be grabbing for money.
I'm not saying that.
You would hope not, I mean, either, you would hope not, but.
Right.
Well, I don't think, we would just more so.
Yeah.
What you guys are doing.
But I mean, you do wanna also protect yourself too. If you wanna sit down and think about it, think about it. If not, then make a decision now.
I want to think about it. That's what I want to do.
I agree with that, and listen,
Then that sounds good.
we're at this point now to where you've never been. None of us have ever been.
Right.
This is an organized conversation. We've heard a lot of great points. Mr. Bass, you brought great points. Jason, Michelle, everybody involved here. But the commissioners need time to grasp all this information and not just throw this thing together like, you know what I mean, haphazardly.
Well, can you make
And
a-
then we have an application process.
Well, can you make a structured timeline to give yourself time to think, 1 week, 2
Yes,
weeks, so that way.
I think a week is a good amount of time to be able to.
I don't wanna go much beyond that. I think we gotta move and any
Well,
more sitting here.
questions are answered, I think. We're fair to
We
work on
need
it
a
for
week.
Tuesday.
We just
Yeah,
need a week.
Yeah, and that's what I originally said, Tuesday.
We need 1 week.
Right.
And
and
then
we'll-
if you're gonna move forward with that, then that gives you
This is,
a couple more weeks.
this is something that if we don't do this with everyone, even though we know Jason and Michelle, but I think that we could run into a problem if we exempt some and don't do it for all.
No, it's all.
Isn't that correct? Bill?
You know,
Is that or is that some sort of, singling somebody out and saying, you gotta fill this out?
I mean, you could argue that. The bottom line, though, this is an advisory panel and it's meant to advise you guys, that this is. It's really, this is all at your discretion, as long as you're not singling people out for improper reasons. You really have a lot of latitude on how you set up advisory boards. These aren't controlled by statute, other than as Alex has pointed out, it is subject, advisory panels are subject to the open meetings and public records law. So that is something that people are gonna have to understand as part of an advisory panel. But other than that, you guys have pretty broad discretion on how you want to set these things up.
You said.
Well, I'm gonna fill this out and, I'm gonna put what I think I can do to contribute, whatever that is. I don't have a problem with that.
Is that gonna be
Anybody
the
would be
final?
opposed.
Is that the final?
I mean, it's just more information.
Not exempt anyone from it.
I just was giving them, again, to what prosecutor said, there's guidelines, but what alls I'm saying is, you need to define your guidelines and then determine your next steps. This was just here's what you might want to think about, but at the end of the day, yes, there does need to be meeting minutes, and there are things that we do need to make sure that we're legally compliant with. So that's all I'm gonna say about that.
And if you decide that it's a conflict of interest for certain people, certain entities to be on that advisory committee, there are other members of the rescue community that aren't here that do not. There are other members of the rescue community that could give very valuable information that aren't necessarily linked to a 501. So I mean, that's important to remember too. Like, we're the ones that were able to come here today. But there are many more people out there that have more knowledge. Like Marty, she's got years worth. And there are many other people that are out there that just us. We're a good group here, but that's how rescue works. Is with everyone. We can't do
But
it.
it's my goal to go to our donors and say, this is important to us, this needs to get done. And I'm not gonna say I take offense to a money grab, but I need the pound. I need the pound. to
Well, I
get
know
done.
you do, but
And-
I'm
and
not
so I
saying
want-
everybody needs to be a partner in it.
No.
Not everybody needs to be on the board.
I know, but let me finish. So
The committee
I,
itself.
so I wanna go to our donors and say, this is what's important to us, this will help us. This is the same as if you donated to us, because we can't operate with a pound that holds 14 dogs and we hold 120.
I agree,
So-
but your activities should be structured or directed by. Everybody can't go out the road their own thing.
I didn't say that.
I'm not saying that, but the committee itself needs to set the standards as far as how everybody operates under the committee perspective, representing it, bringing money in.
And that is one valid point. We're all rowing in the same direction, we want the same cause. But we have to make sure that whatever we do, we're gonna flush out some big money. And the big money, we don't want a conflict to be created where someone gets a donor and then someone from our board, not singling out any group, because there's a whole bunch of nonprofits out there that might say, well, hey, they just gave the pound 100 grand. Let's ask them for 5, let's ask them for 10, and utilize the position as a board to create conflicts of whatever, where they're confusing the donor, where the donor thinks.
Sorry to interrupt. I have a doctor's talk to get to Amanda Abear. So are we coming back here next Tuesday?
No, I mean, you don't have
After
to be,
workshop?
that's for us to be
Yeah.
there, I mean.
But
you
I'm
can
saying,
come
like,
if you
you're-
Want to.
It's a planned topic of discussion for next Tuesday. Everyone's agreed on that?
I think for next Tuesday, at the end of our workshop, we should
Okay,
have our
fantastic.
guidelines established clearly of. Here's what it is, and let's activate the plan.
Okay, all right. I gotta get to the doctor, but. all
Bye,
right,
man.
Be safe. I'll
Just
see you
to
guys
clear
next
up
week.
one thing, Bill Danso, prosecutor's office, because I think this meeting sort of started with one thing and now I feel like we've maybe transitioned a little bit. Is the goal of this committee for the commissioners, is this a planning committee to figure out what to do in the dog pound, or is this a fundraising committee? Because those are two kind of different things. And I think that's one thing you guys need to be.
Fundraising is just one aspect of the one task,
Okay.
one duty. today we flushed out.
Yeah.
Some things of needs for the community, some things of establishing who does what in a sense. We talked about fundraising, we talked about location, we talked about building, we talked about the issues. So we got those out now. Those are out there on the table.
Okay, so
We're all on the
this
same
is
page with that
all
stuff.
encompassing.
Now, moving forward, what I think what the advisory committee should be doing, what I'd like to see is I'm personally not gonna be knocking any doors saying we need money for the dog pound, can you donate? But I think this advisory committee, one challenge of that will be fundraising for it. One challenge for it will be if there are donors that want to do anything as far as donating food, donating supplies to the dog pound when it comes, that'll be an aspect
That's a
of.
separate entity. They're already getting that.
Right.
That is already her established. I think it should be fundraising.
So we just want to keep it fundraising then and legalities, and then I think maybe the board, for just doing that, we should look for an attorney or CPA to donate their time. We should look for someone from a banking institution that knows the tax, the write-offs, the things, and other big money banks that they could challenge to match their donation or things like that. So those are things that I didn't know that. That's good to bring to the table. Those are things that maybe we should focus in on. That's what this is going to be, is just getting it built. Now that we know what all the other stuff is, maybe that's the direction.
I think that's something the commissioners need to really, and Alex put it on the sheet for you guys. I think
That way we're not muddying the waters.
defining that scope is important, are we talking about, they're gonna give you advice on 55 versus 57 kennels? Are they giving you advice on what kind of garage doors you're putting in? Or are they giving you advice on,
It's already built.
well, that's what
It's
I'm
already,
saying.
no, it's raising the money.
So then I
They
think
shouldn't
that's
have-
a little bit different than we started this meeting with. So that's.
Well,
what
I mean,
I would
but
like
we couldn't get to that
I would like
point.
see slight modifications, which would be recommendations as far as a clinical center for veterinary, or maybe change of storage. But as far as the bulk, 99.9% of the entire plan, that's it. Here's the money. We're out looking for money. Are there going to be revisions? There's always revisions. Once you start something, move this, move that, change this, change that. I told him, I don't think we need 5 offices in there. Let's use it for dogs. But that's minor stuff.
Mr. Sugar.
I kind of agree a little bit though. I mean, we've been all over the board here on this. Are the commissioners 100% that is the location, AWL property, and that is the build that we're gonna do? Is that a guarantee at this moment in time?
I am, but I've
Because if not,
researched it over 2.5 years.
If not, then we're headed.
Well, I can't speak for Commissioner Burnett because he's.
I haven't looked at it in detail, but before I give that commitment, I like to sit down with Jason and make sure that he's okay with it designing that, because you had.
I don't have anything to do with
He
that.
has nothing to do with it.
I know, but
Commissioner.
just, but I'd like your input as far as the way it's designed. What do you think? It's functional, or do we have some wasted space there that we could do it a little bit different? You made a comment last week at our meeting that, that you build buildings, you build facilities. We don't necessarily need a Taj Mahal, that we need something that's functionable. And I just want to make sure that, in your opinion, you think that's good to go.
I feel that, Michelle has done a really great job putting this together. And she's done a really good job of defining her needs versus her wants. And, I support it. I want the project to move forward.
And we all want it.
And, I don't want it to get delayed so that I can look over something that I have full faith in her. Her and I interact every day. We talk about stuff. Her and I even talked about when this first came about, what do you do at your shelter? We talk about the flooring, we talk about hose reels, all that stuff. I am very content with what is there.
And Commissioner, that's stuff we do. I went to Mahoney County Dog Pound and looked at it. I would recommend doing that. Drive to the dog pound, look for yourself. Drive to the Animal Welfare League and look at the property. Do the due diligence that we've already done to get yourself caught up on that stuff. Talk to Mahoney County commissioners. Talk to other commissioners in other counties that have done dog pounds. That's where I learned a lot from it in the past.
I want to say, Jason runs a rescue center. He's different than the dog warden. The goals are different. I mean, yeah, we have kennels. We're not housing them.
Right.
It's a totally different function, kind of like a coroner's office or something like that, where Jason's got long-term living, take every dog in that he can and hope for a home. no matter what it takes.
Plus,
It's
that's
different.
that's aesthetically pleasing and it's what the county should have, not a big pole building or what have you. No,
It's
no
nice.
offense. It's aesthetically desirable for the county. For our presence and somebody, and like Mr. Baez had said, you go there to get a
Interact.
dog. Just the way it looks makes you wanna, not, nothing against the
And-
dog, but I mean.
And we paid
not-
$205,000 for professionals to
Right.
do that. They surely did the research on why this is there, and this, why this should be here and not there.
So,
Yeah.
Sean should come kind of risk. So again, just to make sure that the cart's not before the horse, does this board need to take a vote? Does that need to happen? Has that happened? I can't remember. I mean, is there a guarantee that the board is behind this location and that build 100%? Because if your committee, if your advisory committee is gonna be fundraising and fundraising only, then you have to have all this other stuff done before you can do the fundraising committee.
No, I agree with that. And again,
I think we all said that.
yeah.
An hour ago. that
Yeah.
We need to commit that this is the design and that's the location.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna ask Lisa and I'll help Lisa write out the resolution for next week. This current board. Establishing that as our location and those designs as the designs move forward. And I'll do that for next Wednesday.
I have no issue.
And
with
then we
that.
can discuss it on Tuesday.
I've been with Michelle now for 2 years before I was a commissioner with this. I've been, pushing for this. It was kind of, when Mauro left, it went to me.
Yes.
Matter of fact, you got that out of my office.
Yeah.
So, this, I believe, is the way it needs to go. AWL donated the property, the way it needs to go. Everything is in place. Now all we need is this committee and our desire to move forward with getting the proper funding and moving forward with, like Commissioner Malloy said, 100% for getting this thing going. We really do need to get it
I
going.
agree with Sean Shook. I think we need to commit to the property and the design.
Oh, yeah, well,
If we
like
agree-
you said
and
next
I'm
week.
not sure that's ever been done.
I don't know that.
I'm not positive, but like I said,
And then
until you
lets
do that.
everybody know that, hey,
Yeah.
that's a step forward. That's the
And
step
that's,
in the
and
right
that brings up
direction.
another good question. So, yeah, you formed this committee, like you put this in, that we didn't vote on that to get, yeah, I
Raising
agree
funds
with
won't
that.
matter if you don't do this 100%, lock it down officially.
If we'll look at the last resolution that we used to pay for the architectural drawing, what we said at that time. And if we
I think,
did say it, we'll reiterate it. If we didn't say it, then we'll officially say it.
if I remember correctly, I think you approved this, you approved the work to be done, the money to be spent, but I don't know if you officially locked down that, yes, this land and this
Might not.
location will be used, and that drawing is gonna be it.
That's where we have to see the wording. I know we accepted the
Once
property
that's done,
officially.
then you can talk about raising the money. And get the shovel in the ground.
Yeah, I don't believe that had ever been done.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't aware that
Yeah.
land was designated for that. It was,
Right.
though it was offered, but, there was some funding disputes with they,
Yeah, well, so
animal
that we
welfare
need to
league
work
out
on.
here. That,
work on for next week, we'll have to get all the verbiage together for.
Taylor Secret. When you guys have us do like the interview or the resume thing, will Michelle and Jason also have like a say in that with you? Like people that they might think. like-
I don't say, I love Jason. Jason does a great job.
But Michelle, I mean,
He's equal with voices and these other groups that are out there. And no offense, you've got experience. I mean, we'd love the knowledge of all of you or something. We can establish this is the dog pound. He's Healthy Hearts and Paws. He's separate. We've even had those problems with 911 and stuff where do we call him? Do we call dog pound? Who do we call? We need to establish there's a difference here. We're putting too much on him that he's volunteering to do, that he doesn't, that's our responsibility.
Yeah,
We
I
got-
think it's because Jason came and raised the major awareness of all this, and we're looking at it, in a way where I understand what he's saying. Michelle is our warden.
Michelle is our word.
She's-
She's an employee that's spearheading this.
So,
It's
we
gonna be
need to
her
give her
office.
the authority.
I guess I just meant like them being involved and she like has knowledge of like
Right.
probably most of the people that are like
I
applying and like being
I
involved.
agree, yeah, I agree. Now what we have to do though is how do we get these out and to who and who's interested in them? That's,
I think you're waiting until next week, right? I'm sorry, I'm just trying to follow.
Right, it's Tuesday, we'll have,
all right,
along with that resolution, we'll say, this is how many members.
okay.
This is what you need to do.
This is how we.
You go with that, Michelle?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
So a little better today than you
I
have?
feel good, yeah.
Okay.
So far,
You
so
sure?
good.
And I'm sure.
Jason, we appreciate your heart, your desire, your passion. You know, I know where you're at with it. I can feel it. And I know where Michelle's at with it too. So it takes special people to, and this guy here, same thing. All right,
Commissioners, on February 20th, 2025, the contract, this resolution got amended, but Baker Bednar Snyder Associates new dog pound design qualifications project at new location. It's got the location listed on here.
it does. That was voted on?
Would you give us a copy, make sure we all get a copy of that?
Yes.
And the property was in the county's hands at that time?
What was the date on that, or Lisa?
This amendment's February 20th,
Of 24?
25.
Oh, that was us? Was that us?
You wonder what?
I mean, I don't know.
I don't remember. Do you remember?
I do remember talking about it because there was questions.
The location?
No, we had to amend something at that time, because that was already done in 24. That we had to amend, maybe paying the
It wasn't-
architect or
It
something.
wasn't
There
changed.
was an additional appropriation.
All right, my
Change order? Oh, it was a change.
it might have been a change, just formality of paying the
Okay.
architect.
There was.
But it was voted on in 24.
I'll pull them and give them to you.
Look at 24 and see.
Yeah, there was a little bit of additional.
All right, so-
I think it's a mistake, at least to not have them on your board. Voices. I know you're saying, I don't know what conflict there could possibly be.
We only raised one pound. If
Our
that is a
voices
full.
of the
Yeah,
tribe.
they're specifically designed.
But a capital improvement is a little separate than raising to support the dog pound, needs of volunteers and needs of the animals. So I do see that difference here. This is a capital project of a building fund. If we don't want to confuse, and we
Initially,
have to establish our own fund to put the money into, then there is a little separate entity of that.
No offense, but you need the 70,000 people.
I understand.
Why did you not have that?
We will
Why
have,
does the board make it dependent on getting them, yes or no?
Why is what?
We need everybody. We need Harnett, we need Voices, we need you, we need everybody. Everybody can't have a seat on the board. Then you've got 50 different opinions pulling every which way. The board creates the structure for all of the other entities to collect or solicit for money.
but if we're not on the board, then how are we on the same page to promote it?
The board instructs the entities, the nonprofits, as to what their job, their limitations, how they go about it. And they create the structure as to what all of the entities. I mean, we got Harnett, we got Marty, we got other, there's All About Paws or something, are they Trumbull County? Okay, you've got all these, whatever these entities are.
But we are pounds.
No, you're a 501c3 that's not the pound. You contribute to the supports the pound. Doesn't mean you have to have a seat on the board to dictate what your role is.
But if it wasn't for them.
It doesn't matter. What's the purpose of being on the board?
Yeah, and then dogs wouldn't be spayed and neutered, they were.
What's the purpose of being on the
Wait.
board?
Hey, listen,
Rick,
listen, we're gonna stop this discussion. This is for the commissioners to make some decisions on. All right, I think we're done here. We're gonna need a motion to adjourn. We'll take this up on Tuesday next week. And make some, have discussion at the workshop. You all right with that?
Mr.
Commissioner?
Chairman, I move we adjourn.
I'm sorry,
Sir Bernard,
Yes.
Sir Malloy,
yes.
Sir Bernard.
Yes, thank you.